Hey everyone, it's Jensen again here for some more craziness in the world of sports. So I want to start off. I know I've already ranted on this a little bit, but Time Magazine just made Simone Biles the Athlete of the Year, and I know I should not pay attention to anything that Time Magazine does because no one does. But it gets my blood boiling a little bit. Um, Again, she is being called the athlete of the year because she quit doing her athletic competition. Again, not going into whether it was right or wrong, but you literally quit because you weren't good enough to do it. That doesn't make you a good athlete. If we're living in a society that is believing that, I just don't even know. If you need to get help, get help. It doesn't make you a hero, though, or an athletic superior person if you have to quit because you are not good enough to do your job or do your athletic competition. There are so many more people that are deserving of it. Again, I would have so much more respect if she were to have tried and came in last than quitting. And again, might have been smart to quit because she could have gotten seriously injured. Not saying that, but you shouldn't be praised for quitting. And I think that's a big problem in a lot of sports, and it's only growing. I mean, tell me, what is the difference between Simone Biles quitting and over in the NBA we've got what's his bucket for the Sixers, 76ers, Ben Simmons. He's quitting because of mental problems. He can't hit a shot. It's the same thing. You're not good enough to do your job. Granted, Ben Simmons probably isn't going to get hurt other than his feelings, but he's not some amazing athlete because he can't hit a shot. He's a bad athlete because he can't do what he's supposed to be doing. And again, could be slightly different situations, but the principle behind it is about the same. If I want an athlete of the year, you could have picked, how many athletes, if you want an Olympian, tons of Olympians. If you wanted a, whatever from whatever group, I mean, there was countless numbers of athletes you could have chosen that didn't quit and that tried their hardest to actually do what they were supposed to be doing. And I know I'm the minority opinion on this in society of today, but I don't care because I have the right opinion. And Simone Biles was not the athlete, the athlete of the year. She may be the most talented gymnast ever, but let's not forget she is a quitter. And she quit when she wasn't doing good, and that's it. That's the story. That's the story. Again, she could have quit for smart reasons to not get hurt, severely. That could have been a good reason not to do it, but she still quit. And you don't need to be celebrated for it. You don't need to be attacked for it either. But anyways, my blood boils when I see some of that stuff. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Anyway, yeah, my son, in our turkey bowl, he got ran over several times, and you know what he did? He cried a little bit a couple times, but then he got back up and started playing still. More impressive than what Simone Biles did, and that's just a turkey bowl on Thanksgiving. So literally, there are probably millions of people that are more deserving of it than she is. But whatever. Let's move on. We've got college football coaching carousel going on. Oregon's still looking for their coach. They're talking to Chip Kelly now. So that'll be interesting if they try and get reunite him. Again, I don't know. I think I talked about this in the last one, but I don't know how successful that'll be just because they don't have the same core group that they had before. Oregon used to be very solidified in their culture and what they were doing. Now they're not. Now they've had tons of coaches and they're losing tons of assistant coaches. One of their guys is going to be at Nevada. Another one is going to Akron, I think it was. So, I mean, it happens, but you just don't have that same, they have talent. So whoever is going to go in there is going to have a lot of talent to work with, but, who knows? Which brings me to my other point. So we're still waiting for USC's staff, and other colleges are waiting for their staffs to get fully staffed, get all the assistants in line. And I think it's an underrated how important it is to get that right, to get those assistants right. I think we undervalue on most cases. There's some cases like Nick Saban, I don't know how he does it. He loses assistants all the time and still puts out a ridiculous team and seems to get new good assistants. But like when you lose assistants, it is hard. I'm going to talk about Pete Carroll here at USC. When he first was hired, who did he bring in? He had Norm Chow, amazing offensive coordinator. He brought in Ed Orgeron. He had young up and coming with Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian. They had this group that was good at developing these talents, and after the first 6-6 year, then they flipped it all around and had the thing up and running up until we often forget that Pete Carroll's last year at USC wasn't the greatest. I think they had 4 losses or something like that. But why wasn't it so great? Now, they had lost out on some of the recruiting battles and had some injuries, so their defense wasn't quite up to par as it normally was. But they had lost a ton of assistants. That brain drain from the assistants was real, and it hurt that USC team. They just didn't have the coaching that they had previously, even though they already had who should be a Hall of Fame coach in Pete Carroll. And so that with USC, and this applies to whatever school you're talking about, you need to do good. That's why a lot of people are still focused on that offensive line coach, and whether they get Brent Venables or whatever his name is from Oklahoma, or if they get another one, it's got to be a great developer of talent, because what has USC lacked? Offensive line. So you better get someone that can actually work with those people and get it set. And so, those assistant coaches' names may not be as famous. We may not know as much about them. But if you're going to have a successful career and you're not Nick Saban, you're going to need those. I think Lincoln Riley was, a lot of his success is, granted, he's like a genius offensively, but he had support on those others. So wherever you're going, Oregon, let's take Chip Kelly and Oregon. We always think of Oregon and his high-flying offenses that were just so speedy and ran up scores. But then you look at the hardest games, and what kept them in those hard games? Well, it was the defense. It wasn't even what Chip Kelly was necessarily doing with his offense. It was their defense with Nick Galliotti, or I can't remember his name, but their defensive coordinator that was there forever. And he had a good defense, and they had a good defensive system to fit their players, and And that's what kept them in. That's what made them almost win the national championship against Auburn. Oh, and against Cam Newton there. I mean, that was a low scoring game. It wasn't a Big 12 blowout, scoring a million points. So we may not know what the coaches' names are or whatnot, but you can very well assume that if you have good assistants and you're not an incompetent head coach, you're going to be moving right along in the right way. So when we find out more information on recruiting and coaching and stuff, I'll give more updates on that. Most of the places are getting filled now. Again, we've got Oregon that's still open as the big one, and of course that could open up another one if they steal. They've interviewed Wilcox. It looks like Sataki was interviewed, but I think he's staying at BYU, so I don't think he's leaving. But yeah, it's the coaching change and turnover has just been insane. I want to close with some hockey stuff, and if you have not seen the Trevor or the Zegras goal, and he didn't score it. He assisted it to Sonny Milano for the Anaheim Ducks against the Buffalo Sabres. He went down behind the net, went down like he was going to do the Michigan, which is picking up the puck with the stick and wrapping it around like a lacrosse goal. But instead of doing that, he flipped it up over the back of the net, and Sonny Milano hit it out of the air into the net. Just an incredible goal. Never had been done in hockey before. And it was quite shocking. Now you see all these little kids that are trying to imitate it through college on down. Just the creativity is insane. And so just an amazing play. You should look it up if you have not seen it. It's well worth watching. That insane goal. The Ducks are surprisingly doing well. They're pretty injured right now. We're about a way through the season, a little over a quarter way through the season. They're in second place in the Pacific. Around the other league, some of the teams are you've got the normal ones. Tampa's up there. You've got the Florida is up there as well, and Toronto's up there. You've got the Washington is pretty good, as well as Carolina. And then the West, we've got Minnesota's been on this crazy win streak. And then you've got the normal, like Colorado, Nashville, St. Louis. They're all doing good. And Calgary and Edmonton are right up there in the Pacific. So it's a tight race. So it'll be interesting because the Ducks were supposed to be selling, and they're probably going to have to trade someone so they have room to sign all these up-and-coming new guys. But I see a bunch of people that are like, oh, we gotta sell high and trade our guys high, and you've got a good thing going here. So some of these guys I would try and keep, like Lindholm on the defense and Raquel on the offense. This is inside for Ducks information. I don't know if I would trade those. There's some other guys that I wouldn't mind, like Silverberry. I like him, but you could probably trade him and get good. Henrique, if you can trade him, he's injured right now, but there are some guys, but some of those pieces that were supposed to be the core but didn't actually end up being the core, I might try and keep them. I don't know. Anyways, we've got Army-Navy coming on this weekend in college football. I think Army will probably win, but go Navy, beat Army. And Bryce Young's going to win the Heisman. And then next week we'll start going over some bowl games, see what's going on with that. And early recruiting days coming right on up. So anyways, have it so good. Bye.